everyone. So today I thought let's solve some VA questions together. I'll be sharing my screen and we can go through them together. Okay? So the first set is a para-jumble. I'm gonna request you to pause the video to take a look at the questions and then we'll start solving it. Okay, I'm guessing you've paused and you've read the questions. So here we go. Now see, in a para-jumble, the first thing to remember is that you need to find out what are the problem words that will clearly eliminate certain options from being the first one. So what do I mean by that? Now if you read this, response, them, because. You can never have, so let's go from the first sentence. To have a response, you need to have a question or a phenomena to begin with. If that is not there, this response makes no sense, right? So that's gone. Second, burning them releases it. What is this them? Are they, them matlab trees, burning people, burning what? There's no context to it, right? And this is because trees sequester carbon, blah, blah, blah. Now, because ke liye you need to have a phenomenon that is preceding it, right? So because that's not there, we can naturally just eliminate the three other options and find out that 2 is the starting one. So the sentence starts with 2. Okay? Now, if you read 2, so once you've found out that this sentence starts with this number 2, then you read 2 to see which one connects logically with 2. So now, if we see well above 2 degrees, quite how no one knows yet. Okay? No one knows yet. A popular response is the exhortation to plant more trees. That still is a, so because no one knows how, how high no one knows yet, but a response to that is that exhortation, is the exhortation to plant more trees. Okay? So with that, we can connect it to 1. 2 and 1 come together. Now, 2 and 1 are sorted. Now, when I go to 1, when I read 1, it says that the response is the exhortation to plant more trees. Okay? Now, why should I plant more trees? That's the most instinctive next question that comes, and therefore the next sentence is going to be 4. This is because, of course, see, you can get confused. You might think it's 2, 1, 3, 4, but it is 2, 1, 4, 3 because the response, so see, they're saying that you should plant more trees. The next question is, why should I plant more trees? And then you talk about how, burning them releases it, etc. So this entire passage, what I've been trying to do is trying to eliminate and then sequence them together. Let's go to the next question. Please pause it. Okay, I'm guessing you've taken a read. So again, we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay? We're going to look at not problematic really, just we're going to find words that stick out like a sore thumb. Like if you see this, such, they, however. Now, such के लिए कुछ तो पहले होना चाहिए, right? You do not start there's no context to such. Such alone does not have any meaning in the universe. It's very contextual. So that is why it cannot start with that. Second, they studied these cells. Now, who is they? I mean, are we talking about people, scientists, animals? We don't know, right? Obviously, logically, we know it must be scientists only, but ज़्यादा logic नहीं लगाने का. The idea is to read, is to stick to the facts that are given in the passage. Okay? So number 3 is also eliminated. 4, however, their ability to regenerate depends on the location of the injury. However के लिए भी, you need to have something that precedes it. Only then does however come, right? So by this process of elimination, we're getting rid of 2. We're getting rid of everything except 2. So 2 has to be my starting sentence. Then, they studied these cells. Okay? So now, if you read it, it is likely that only the biologists must have studied it, right? Animals are not studying themselves. And please don't say that humans are also animals. That argument is not what I want to deal with right now. But clearly, we're talking about biologists and then they studied these cells. Okay? So 2 and 3 are sequentially aligned. Now, we are stuck with 1 and 4. Okay? So it's 2, 3, 1 or 4, or 1 and 4 or 4 and 1. We don't know the sequence yet. But let's read it. Previously regarded as incapable of regeneration. Okay? Now, if this thing previously regarded as incapable of regeneration, let's try sentence 3 with 1 and sentence 3 with 4. If you try sentence 3 with 1, you will see that they're contradicting. Because in 3, they are saying that it's incapable of regeneration. But in 1, they're saying such a comprehensive regeneration of neurons has been blah, blah, blah. So, it has to be 2, 3, 4. 1 second. Yeah, it's 2, 3, 4, 1. Sorry, I got confused for a second. But you get what I'm saying, right? Let me just repeat myself. So we are saying that, so there are biologists. The sentence starts with that because that sets the context. Of course, somebody studying the cells, most likely it's going to be the biologist. So 2 and 3 follow each other. Then we go through, we're confused between 1 and 4. 1 and 4 is the tricky part. Okay, so we know that we see that 3 and 1 are contradicting each other, and therefore you need to insert 4 to kind of then build the entire overall storyline. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is a para summary. Please pause it and let's get started. Okay, now see, we're talking about how developing countries are, you know the crux. I'm not going to go through it. Now let's try to find the keywords that I would like to highlight. Forced. First option says forced. Okay, and competitive domestically. Now, if you've read this paragraph अच्छे से, you will know that no one is forcing anybody. Yes, there are certain issues, like they are driven by ambition and fear, but don't equate fear to being forced. Okay? Now, that's a common mistake that we make. See, of course, logically, intuitively, we do assume that if I'm afraid, I'm being forced to do something, but you're not supposed to use your brains there. You're supposed to stick to only the facts that are given in the passage. So don't infer anything. Don't try to weave something else out of something else, and you get what I'm saying, right? So don't do that. So clearly option 1 is gone. And the second reason why option 1 is wrong is because they're talking about competitive domestically, when the passage clearly says they are also going global themselves. Okay? So first option's gone. We remove it. Now, let's look at the second option. Innovations in production and distribution are helping emerging economies compete with other countries. Okay? Now, if we're talking about innovations in production and distribution, that is true. The passage does mention it. But that is not the sole reason because of which they're competing with countries that they once supplied cheap labor to. You know, if you read it carefully, you will realize that innovations innovations are helping, but that's not the only part of it, right? So that's also gone. Now, third option, I will put on a standby because it sounds perfect to me right now, but I'm not going to pick the third one before I read the fourth one. Okay? Fourth one, worldwide as developed countries are being challenged by their earlier suppliers from the developing world. ये कहाँ पे लिखा है यार? If you read the sentence, they are competitive. Yes, the passage does say that they're highly competitive in their own backyards, but that doesn't mean they're being challenged by people who were, earlier, who were not as good as them. So definitely the fourth option is also gone. So that leaves us with only one option, which is the third one. Okay? That's how I would do my para summaries. So same things. So even with your para summary and with your para jumbles, I will look for keywords and I will start eliminating based on those keywords. So there's that. Now let's do an odd one out. And I will stop the video with this because it's too long. In an odd one out sentence, I have an example here. Please pause and let's get started. Okay, so we need to find the sentence which is sticking out like a sore thumb. Okay, same logic. Start looking for pieces like of a puzzle that fit together. Okay, and the one that doesn't fit is the odd one out. Usko fekhna hai nikal ke. Now, so we see in the first two sentences when we read, both of them are talking about outer space and resources. Okay, so I will assume that 1 and 2 are linked in some way. If they are linked in some way, 1 and 2 cannot be the ones that are sticking out like the sore thumb. So I'm going to eliminate 1 and 2. They are not the odd ones out. Okay. Now, if you go back and read the second sentence, you'll see, however, space law developed in blah blah blah. So there is some law which has been developed. We don't know whether it's right, wrong, whether it's widely accepted, etc. But that ties with the third one. So 1, 2, 3 they're a unit. We don't know in what sequence yet, and we don't even need to, but there is sequence. Now, if you see 4, I have an issue that I think 4 is the one, but let's read the rest to kind of arrive at it. Okay? So 5 is saying that commercial activity rather than nation states, as private firms rather than nation states look to space for profit. What does this mean? This means, again, it ties in with 1, 2, 3 because they're talking about who owns the resources of the space, of space, because because obviously, I mean, if you here, of course, I'm digressing and contradicting myself, and I'm giving you an example to understand it. In the real exam, don't take an example, stick to the facts that are given. But just to set some context, if you look at the 5th point, it talks about something like, say, SpaceX. If SpaceX is coming up with is discovering some asteroid somewhere and it has some minerals which are worth extracting, who gets to own that, right? So that is the question that we're looking at. So therefore 1, 2, 3, 5 are actually connected to each other. Okay? But if you read 4 also, alone also it makes no sense, which is why I put matlab kuch bhi. Let's go back and read it again. It is the most ambiguous statement I've ever seen. Critics say US is conferring rights, it has no authority to confer. Russia in particular has condemned this, citing US's disrespect for international law. What is this? This is like the most generic statement. This could be for, you know, abortion laws. This could be against discrimination. This sentence can literally fit anywhere. So such generic sentences are always, they're not always, but they have a high likelihood of basically being chucked out. So remember to get rid of that. Okay? So with that, I want to wrap up this video. I hope you found it useful. Let me know if you like these kind of videos. It's my first time doing this, so I'm also a little nervous. It's a longer video. I'm really sorry about that. But if it helped, let me know. Best of luck.